That's all YouTube. That YouTube is suggested for that. This should be live. YouTube should now be live. I'm about to start Facebook Live. And I don't know what I did. And tonight I'm going to also do live from YouTube. No, Instagram. Hold on, I gotta put my lip gloss on. So let's see how this works. I've got 3 things streaming here, you guys. Oof. It's like bad angles. I have to just do it. I'm supposed to like look down. Oh wait, I know what I can do. One moment, please. Let's see how this helps. That might help YouTube. All right. So I've got 3 things going, guys. I have an Instagram live. So if you're on my Instagram, you can see me. I have my YouTube live. So if you're on Instagram, you should be able to see me. And I have a Facebook live going all at once, just because I'm trying. And my chat is now coming up because I can see Mallory. So for all of you, because we're having technical difficulties, what else is new? Just tune in to, let me know on YouTube if you can hear me and chat with me. Let me know where you're tuning in from, and let me just see who's here so that I can make sure that it's broadcasting properly. For those, hey, Miss Wager, how are you? I just saw your name over there. For those on Facebook and YouTube, right in front of me, you are both seeing me tuning in from with a green screen behind me. This broadcast, while you can sit where you are on Facebook or Instagram, you can stay there and watch this program, or you can jump on to my YouTube channel, which is Intuitive Medium Deborah Hanlon, and that way you can interact personally with me. So I'm not going to be checking the Instagram and Facebook as much as I'll be checking and looking at the questions that are coming from everybody logging in on YouTube. So if you do want to interact with me directly and ask me questions and have me answer stuff, you'll have to go onto my YouTube channel. So with that all said, I don't know what happened. I don't know if some of you on YouTube, if you saw me behind the scenes getting ready, I was like texting and setting stuff on my phone. Thank God I wasn't like doing something embarrassing, like picking my nose or something. Oh my God. I'm like, thank God. Actually, I don't think I was, but I don't remember now. So now I'm seeing everybody tuning in. This is good. So just to go recap to tell everybody what this is, if you're looking at a green screen behind me, you are tuning in from a location where I'm not going to be able to take any of your questions. Right, Jack? You're not going to get any love on Instagram. You have to come down to YouTube to get questions answered. But if you're curious and you're on Instagram, oh God, this is gonna be a long night already. You could tune in. So, okay, where's everyone tuning in from? Guilderland, Nanuet, I saw New York, I saw upstate New York. Hello, Andrea, how are you? So here's the format. We talk. You can ask me broad, generalized questions about all things energy, mediumship, intuition, things about your own like personal self-development. It's not really, this isn't the format for me to answer any personal intuitive questions. Occasionally I throw that in there. Sometimes I do it towards the end, just in case you're hanging on and you're watching with me, then I kind of throw a bone and answer personal intuitive questions, but that's not what this is always set up for directly. So tonight, I want to go over a couple things that we've been doing and working on here on the show for a couple of weeks. We've been talking about compassion and how to have it for not only people we agree with or feel sad for, but it's also to have compassion for everybody who's just going through a hard time, and taking the time for yourself to pause when you want to react to someone. You know, it's important to exercise compassion. Now, everything I always say, trust me, I don't always react or respond well when I'm aggravated or impatient or upset or triggered. So this is all about like not trying to be holier than thou, but just being mindful and aware of our own place in the universe and how we can just raise our consciousness just even a little bit all the time. So just be mindful of that. Last week, we talked about practicing the art of at the end of your day, you close out your day in your mind. So you go backward through your day and you just kind of make a note in your mind. It's like closing out of each browser on your computer desktop or your phone or whatever. It's just a reminder of like, okay, the day is done. It's time to put the day and all that happened in it, good, bad, or indifferent, and put it away and then come back to the present moment, which is time to go to sleep, so that your mind can start exercising a restful state as opposed to, you know, the nighttime anxiety crazy states that our minds tend to get into, especially when we start to lay down and try to relax. So, and those of you on Instagram and Facebook, you can tell me where you're tuning into from as well if you want to. And then last week, or in addition to that, we also talked about when you wake, whether you pop right out of bed or you're someone who really eases into your day nice and slowly, you should, before you even start your day, just review your day in advance, kind of see it through, see the appointments you have or where you're going to be, and kind of play it out in your mind just day to day in advance, that you can start to really exercise your intuition. You can kind of feel through your day. What kind of day are you going to have? You know, where is there going to be like sort of snags in your day? And as you really practice this, you'll start to feel like, oh, there's a snag around 2 o'clock. And then that's the time when someone can't jump on a conference call with you. And you're like, wow, I actually felt that that was going to happen. When we practice this, we're not going to be surprised as often with those snags in our day. And we'll be able to be prepared and be able to just kind of like move through it versus letting it ruin everything. So it's a really, really good technique to apply. So that's what we've been talking about. Last week, the topic of generational healing came up at the very end of the show, and I was shocked. I was so exhausted last week. So I said that I would address it this week, and it's really a fascinating concept, and I think we all should hear it and know about it way more than we do. We hardly ever talk about it. So what generational healing is, and that's what I'm calling it. I don't know if there's a term that's literally called that. I don't know if you Google generational healing, if what I'm talking about will pop up. Something will pop up, I'm sure. But so I don't know if it's specifically called that. But the concept is when you heal something, particularly something mental, emotional, in your lifetime right now, and say that is a systemic or what we also known as hereditary affliction. We can take alcoholism as an example. Say you have developed alcoholism in this lifetime and you have taken the steps to overcome that addiction. Those who came before you in your family who suffered with alcoholism, you also give them healing to their own afflictions, whatever it may be, in this example, alcoholism, back in time. So they're already receiving healing just based on a future person, future DNA line through you, as well as you begin to heal that gene or that hereditary, which isn't, now they're saying it isn't necessarily hereditary, it's what genes get turned on and off, and I'll talk about that in a moment. But you heal it going forward as well. So as you heal it within yourself, within 2 or 3 generations back and 2 and 3 generations forward, receive that healing too. So when we take care of what's bothering us, what's wrong with us, what's not serving us is probably a better way to say it. We don't only heal it for ourselves, we heal it for our immediate family and friends and environment, coworkers, as well as healing forward and backward in time through our ancestry and DNA lines, which is fascinating. Now, Biology of Belief by Bruce Lipton, say that 10 times fast. He discusses, which is a great book if you haven't read it. It's very user-friendly. There's parts of it that get a little intense as far as the science, but it's generally pretty layman's terms friendly. He talks about that genealogists, is that what they're called? People who study the DNA strands? I'm calling them genealogists, but I don't know if I'm making up that word either. You guys know me by now. I don't know. I don't know certain words. But he says that diseases that were once known as hereditary, now they're not so certain whether they are or not, and that it's whether you believe something is hereditary is what turns that gene on or off. So if you believe that you're destined to have dementia because your aunt had it, then you are turning on the gene. You're basically telling the gene to get dementia. That's my words condensed. He has the scientific version. So this notion of the belief and our ability to believe in something healing or, something that can destroy us or harm us is really, really important. So what do we do with this? We must be conscious and aware of what our thoughts and our beliefs, where they're leading us. If you believe that, I talk about this in my events all the time. If you believe like, oh, I'm so lucky. I have all the luck. I always win all the prizes. Anything I, sign up for to win, I always win. And I'm sure you are either that person or that person in your life that believes that. And what happens? It's true. They always win, right? So that is a biology of belief that causes them, that helps them, that manifests that belief. So really important stuff to be aware of. So in the next week, few days, I want you to start being aware of that. Tell me that, tell yourself, sorry, I read comments and then I'm trying to read your stuff and talk at the same time. It's never worked in all the months that I've done this. It's never worked that I can do both, but I still try. Yeah, just do it. It's basically what I'm saying, all this blah, 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 my voice and my mouth. Oh my God, just pay attention to where your thoughts are and what your beliefs are aligned with. That's all I'm trying to say. So, all right, let me now try to get through. Thank you, Mallory. Generational trauma, healing through resiliency therapies. Very good. Good. So there are terms for this. It's not just like pie in the sky, like, oh, I hope things will be okay, and it is. It's much deeper than that. The neuro and the synapses and the neurological, brain system, the way it works is so fascinating, and we must incorporate that in any healing, whether it's physical, mental, emotional healing. So, hey, Kathy from Florida, how are you? I see you over there. Let's see. Oh, Maria, very good. You closed the main curtain at the end of the night. Yes, when I stop doing readings, I literally visualize the curtain is closing as well. So that's particularly at galleries that I envision the curtain closing, time's up, no more talking to the other side, no more listening, no more plugging in that way. It's very helpful. So everyone should come up with some imagery so that you can help yourself close out your day, whatever works for you. So, okay. Hold on, I'm reading. Hold on one moment, please. I feel like I need Jeopardy music behind me when I start reading your stuff. Thank you, Andrea. Hello from New Jersey. Totally agree with you about the generic belief. Won't claim handed down beliefs. Right. Good. Yes, absolutely. So what do you guys want to talk about tonight? Generalized stuff. Not any personal intuitive questions, only because I don't always take them. That's just something I throw in at night. Oh, Sandra, that's awesome. Sober 10 years in October. Yes, it's a blessing to know the generational part of your recovery. It does not just take care of you. It takes care of you backwards in time through whatever strands of DNA that also had an addiction, and forward in time as well, which is huge. So yes, Noreen, this is a great question. Noreen asks, right. Oh, I didn't go over my events, but hold on. Noreen asks, just curious if the notion applies when we try to send good thoughts or prayers to someone else in need. Yes, which I know there's that whole terrible debate with especially gun policies of like, sending thoughts and prayers isn't enough. And I won't get into politics by any means, but sending thoughts and prayers does lift energetically. It lifts people up. Does it solve problems? Sometimes, yeah, absolutely. Sending love, light, energy, good thoughts, good feeling, good stuff towards someone, I would say yes. Sometimes it does solve. Sometimes it doesn't solve anything, but it lifts people and helps people get through. So I'm certain all of you tuning in have had a significant death of someone in your lifetime. And I want you to think back and remember the first moment they pass in the first few days, even the first maybe week or two after their passing, how you felt. And of course, depending on how close they were they in your daily life? Were Was it someone a little more distant versus someone that was in your home and your very daily life? It might make a slight difference, but for the most part, remember that first week or two and how, although horrible their death is, there was something that pulled you through it. And most of you can probably relate to, I don't know where I was. I don't know how I got through that. I felt like it didn't even happen. That's something that feels like that probably forever for a lot of passings. But there's an energy. And what that is right after someone dies is when the world, whether we announce it through old-fashioned just obituaries or now on social media, the prayers and love and light, even for someone just responding to a social media post, oh, I'm so sorry, my condolences, that energy lifts the person who is grieving and gets them through that time period, which is why that time period feels like you're lifted or floating, or you weren't even in your body, or this is the way you got through it. That's not a coincidence. That's what love and light and prayers do. So it lifts people. It doesn't necessarily solve the fact that they passed, but it can lift us and help us. So the important thing is to always send high intentions to someone. And if you don't have high intentions for someone, because sometimes there are people in our lives that we don't, and that's normal and that's okay. The best thing to do is just retract all energy from them. You don't want to wish bad on people, which trust me. No, I don't wish bad on people. No. I get really annoyed at people and I want to like go nuts, one in particular, but I won't say who. Um, you guys can all guess. But that energy goes somewhere. And what we send out, authentically send out, gets right directed back at us. So imagine the world is your mirror. And I'm doing a whole workshop on this in November. Very intense, fun, but intense workshop on mirrors. It's part 2 of my energy transformation awareness class. And imagine the world is a mirror. And whatever you send out to anyone is going to get bounced right back at you. You're reflected right there. So you're sending it out to someone. And remember, ask yourself next time, ooh, do I want to send this to myself? And if the answer is no, then just drop it. Drop it. Ask the universe to handle it for you. Take it to some energy that's way bigger and greater with way better, more pure intentions than our limited human selves that get caught up in just the drivel and just pain in the ass stuff that we all deal with in our lives. So that's an important visual. I've been trying that a little bit more lately. Now, that doesn't mean that you have to bury your head in the sand when something goes wrong. You can always defend yourself and come up and state your case and express yourself when needed. But as far as jealousy and anger and all of that stuff, whatever we throw out there, it gets bounced back to us. And we want to be aware of that. We do. A lot of you probably are going to think, well, how come I don't see, it's another way of saying karma and other people. Everyone receives the karma they get, and that's positively and negatively. And the more we spend time wishing karma on someone in a negative way, the more that bounces back at us. So I know that's annoying, because trust me, I have to like stop myself like, oh, do I want to consciously be aware right now? Or do I just want to be a total asshole? A lot of times I pick being a human a-hole. So that's the way it is. That's the way it goes sometimes. But it's not our higher self. It's not our best selves that are showing up when we behave that way. So what is all this writing here? Okay. Jana, that's a great question. Jana asks, how can you merge Christian religious beliefs and reincarnation? I struggle with that. Reincarnation makes so much sense to me. You've had tons of deja vu, yet you believe in heaven and Jesus. That's a great question. I don't believe you need to separate them. I think that is one of the disservices that any and all organized religions on the face of this planet do, is as soon as we divide something or claim something or name something, we start to limit it. Automatically we start to limit it. So religions to me operate the same way. As soon as we're defining things and creating ritual, I'm not against them, by the way, by any means, but I'm also like, be mindful if they're all kind of pointing to the same phenomenon, the mystery of the unknown of this great universe and this great, great energy in the universe that we can't quite explain and define, yet we're aware of for the most part. But I personally believe that when Jesus talks about resurrection, I'm stating that this is my belief and my understanding of it, not the world's understanding before I get a firestorm of that I'm going to hell and stuff. If I'm going to hell, I'm going to go for a lot better reasons. But I believe when Jesus talks about resurrection, he was talking about reincarnation, mediumship, having a soul, not being their body, having a life after this that's accessible, meaning you can talk to him. So I do not believe in a literal translation that Jesus, he died, his body died, and then his body came back. I believe his body still died, but his spirit, his energy, his soul, whatever you want to call it, was still there. And I believe that that's what he was talking about, and that he would live again through reincarnation. So that is my interpretation of it. But I understand completely and value and honor and have, complete respect for everybody's own personal beliefs on that. Oh, Maria, thank you for saying that. Let's see. How can we, Angela, fantastic question. This is fantastic. Wonderful question. Angela is asking, how can we attract positive energy when it seems there's been a run of bad luck? Super question. Positive, we can all relate to it. First of all, the run of bad luck, I'm going to use your words in quotes, is a mindset, which does not mean that bad things have not happened. And it just seems like, we all know, like when one thing hits, it seems like, and then there's this, and then there's that, and then there's this, and then there's that. It always feels like there's a huge firestorm of like everything. And even little things start to add up. And then we just start getting focused on what's going wrong. Totally normal, totally human. We probably can't erase this completely from our consciousness and our experience, but what we can do is step back and look at things better. That life is happening to everyone all the time. And I do not know of a single person on the planet that has not had some sort of struggle. Many, many at one time. It does always feel like it clusters. And I think that feels that way because when we're down and low and scared and upset and stressed and worried, we're like squeezed, and any little thing added on top of us just compounds it. So negative energy is very dense and very overwhelming, and it feels really hard to get out from under it, and everything piles up. So what you need to do is you need to step back and go, okay, this and this and this and this and this, and you can list all the terrible things that have happened. You change your words. It is not bad luck. It is life happening. You really get honest with yourself and see what things could you have done better or differently. It is not time to judge yourself and say, oh my God, I fucked up and I'm a mess and my life is ridiculous and I'm always a loser. It's not time to do that. We all do that plenty enough. We don't need to. It's not helpful, and it's never going to get anyone anywhere. But be honest with yourself. If say someone's drinking and they really have a drinking problem, and yet they went down the rabbit hole and they started drinking again, it's not time to judge yourself. It's time to say, okay, I got to pull myself back. I got to get myself around this particular issue again. So notice what parts you possibly could have done better. What parts can you own without judgment? And then how can you move forward differently? That's one. Two, you need help from other people who can pull you out of that, help you see another side of things. Because when we're low, everything seems fucked up. Everything, every person, everything, everywhere. You don't want to hear it otherwise. You don't want to see people happy at all. You're just pissed off. You think everyone else has it better and easier. It's not ever true, but it appears that way, especially on social media these days. So you want to enlist the help of people who can really pull you up, not help and do things for you, but really be able to see like, okay, you need to do this, and maybe we can tweak here, and maybe we can do this. Not necessarily, I'm not talking about asking really family for that. Family's not helpful when it comes to people changing, because family, everyone's in their own little dynamic. And when someone wants to change the dynamic of the family, oh my God, all high holy hell breaks loose. So You don't want to go within your own family even for this assistance. You want to go to someone, a life coach, a therapist, a mentor, a teacher, a boss, whoever is appropriate to be able to say, all right, this is your situation. Let's look at it differently. Thirdly, it's really important to really train yourself to talk about and show yourself what you like about your life and what is going right, who is there for you instead of focusing on who's not. This is critical, absolutely critical. And trust me, I have been in times in my life where I was so down and out and so furious and angry and sad and upset and depressed at the whole world. I've been there several times throughout my life. And in those times, there was no way I was ever going to express gratitude for anyone or anything. Because I was like, fuck that. This is all bullshit, which is, again, totally fine and okay to express and feel. But it's hard work to really start pulling yourself and say, okay, I like this. I like that. I like this. Many, many years ago, I was very miserable in my marriage. I had a young mother. My children were very young. I didn't know what I was going to do with my life. I didn't want to stay in this marriage, but I couldn't leave because I had these 3 kids. I hated my home. We lived in a not safe neighborhood and not a good home. And I hated everything and had no means, no ability to get myself out of it. None. I was stuck, as they say. And someone told me, what is something you love best about yourself? And I was like, oh, stop with the bullshit. I'm not answering this. This is such a stupid exercise. And they're like, no, name one thing you like about yourself. And I was like, I don't like anything about myself. No, find one thing you like. And I was like, I like my eyelashes. I'll never forget this. And now you're all looking at my eyelashes. And they were like, okay, yeah, you like your eyelashes. You are to now focus on how much you love your eyelashes every day. I love my eyelashes. Look at my eyelashes. Oh my God, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, that is the biggest bunch of crap I've ever heard. What are my eyelashes going to do about my life? And I tell you what that did is it changed the frequency. It changed my go-to, let me think about what's miserable in my life. And I replaced it quickly with, I love my eyelashes. So find something. I don't care if it's your nails. I don't care if whatever it is, find something you do love about your life. Physically, what you love, maybe it's your home, maybe it's the smell of your perfume. Find something and then start adding to it. The dumbest things count. The dumbest. I mean, eyelashes, I say my eyelashes saved my life. That's a really good title of my next book too, because people will be like, what? So that's what you do. It's a step. And remember that bad things and shitty things happen every single day, but when we're really crunched in that space, it's just like the straw that breaks the camel's back, right? When I'm in a bad mood and I like drop something and it spills everywhere, oh my God, it's like the end of the world where I'm like, what else can happen? We all do that. But when I'm in a good mood, it's like, damn it, I spilled that. Got to go pick it up. And it's not that big a deal. So a spill is the same. A spill is a spill. It just makes a difference in the environment and how you're feeling that day, what defines how bad that spill is. So remember that. Not easy stuff. I'm not trivializing anything. I'm the first person to be as real and honest as like when I'm screaming extremities that, are dangerous just by my tongue. Yeah, I've been there. But there are ways up, and you're not abnormal. You're so normal for thinking and feeling that. And I'm pretty sure every single one of us listening, whether you're on Instagram, Facebook, or YouTube, you can relate to just being in the space where you're just done and over it. I know more people have felt that way than have not felt that way. So if you are feeling that way currently or have felt that way, you can speak up or give me a thumbs up or let us know, because I think we need to connect in our uncertainty and our dark times more so than connecting in, oh my God, look at my vacation I'm having, which is so fun. When really you're like, no, vacations aren't fun because I forgot my passport and I went through a ridiculous, like we don't share all the nitty gritty details. So, okay. Yes, Chrissy. The mirror analogy is a very helpful one. It really is. For those of you who are tuning in on Instagram and Facebook, I'm just going to ask that you can tune in to my YouTube channel. You can stay right where you are, but I only accept questions coming from people who are writing through YouTube because that screen is much easier for me to see. Okay, so let me pause for a minute. I have all these events here, like they're taking up the space here. My spiritual adult summer camp that was for July 29th has been sold out. So I'm only accepting a certain amount of people at them. I don't want them to be huge. So that one is filled. So I added another one on August 16th. It's a Friday. It is from 9 to 3. It is held 10 minutes from the center, and I'll disclose where when you sign up. It's a fun day of adult summer camp. It's having fun. It's experiencing play. It's introspective. It's journaling. Not a lot of journaling though. We could always do that on our own time. Meditation, yoga, games, fun, laughter, camaraderie, community, introspective lessons. And it's just a day of being able to kind of be a kid again at camp. And we're going to be digging a little bit into our child consciousness about how you felt as a kid, say, going to camp, whether you didn't get to go because you didn't have the finances for it, or you didn't get to go because there were none offered in your area, or your parents didn't believe in it and you wanted to go, or you went and you hated it. I want to get into that kid consciousness so that we can upgrade that core belief system. So fun day, deep day, but fun day, not like sobbing on the ground day. Speaking of sobbing on the ground day, that is my energy transformation awareness, the beginning in September. I do have a couple more spots for that. That is a very intense energy transformation workshop. I'm going to teach you about energy, how to feel energy moving through your hands. Within the first 2 hours of the workshop, you will have witnessed your own energy field like that. I will teach you how to feel it, how to experience it, how to know it's there. That part is very fun. It is 6 weeks long. We meet only 3 weekends over 6 weeks. So we're on a weekend, off a weekend, on a weekend, off on a weekend. I take a limited amount of people because I cannot run that one large. That has to be in person. It's the only workshop I now teach that you cannot attend online because I need that immediate feedback. I haven't quite figured out how to do that one online yet. I'll work on it, but it won't be anytime soon to be offered. So that is September. And then that's the first in a 4-part series of energy work. And at the end of the series of 4, you will be able to do hands-on healing work with other people. So I always call it the healer's workshop as well, because if you're going to work on other people, you better know what your own shit is before you put your shit onto your clients. Isn't that eloquent? So that class is that. Also, I have a gallery at the Wood in Highland this Wednesday night. This is one of my favorite venues. This one will be held outdoors, weather permitted, which I'm excited about. They have a big, huge outdoor space that's covered. So it'll be in the shade and all of that, but that's exciting. That's always one of my favorite places to go. And there are tickets still available, which is pretty rare because that one always sells out. So I think summertime, everybody is away and having other commitments. So jump onto that one if you want to. And then my mediumship online course, that's still available. I have one more class you can take in person or live. This class is the culmination of the last 4, although you don't have to have taken the other 3. You don't have to have been taken the first 3 to jump into this last one. But if you want the first 3, you can still sign up for them and get the recorded versions. So you still can take that class, and all that's on my website. So let's see. Let's go to your questions again. Heather asks, let's see if I ask your, yeah, that works. How do you handle fear? Sometimes it takes over. Boy, don't I know it. First, you handle it by freaking out and convincing yourself of all the worst possible scenarios that could happen if you do something or don't do it. So there's step 1. Step 2 is recognizing that there's fear and discomfort in something, which probably means it's pushing a comfort zone, which we all face. Very few people actually really love to be placed in a comfort zone, a discomfort zone, I should say. So recognize that it's normal to be really uncomfortable and have a lot of unnecessary fears that come up with anything new you're doing. I will share one. I have always wanted to teach at the Omega Institute in Rhinebeck, New York, always, like forever. Um, and I've been given an opportunity to submit something to someone to be able to teach there. And all of a sudden, I'm flooded with fear, flooded with fear. And I was like, ooh, what is that? And I was like, oh, Deb, that is fear talking, right? And I'm like, shit, what am I afraid of? What am I afraid of? And I hate to say that I'm fearful, especially when it comes to my work, because it's like the one place in my life that I feel is so not fear-based and so confident. And I know what I do, and I like my method of doing everything. And I love everything with my work, and I feel really, really stable and confident in it. So when this came up, I'm like, oh my God, I'm going to throw up. I'm just submitting a proposal. It's not like I'm going to go speak to Elizabeth Lesser, who I wish would call me. But anyway, so I was flooded with fear of rejection. I was flooded with fear of, what if you find out you're not really good enough? What if you're not wanted? What if you're not effective? What if what you're saying isn't true and someone's going to say it's not? I mean, where the hell did this come from? I live, breathe, eat, sleep, everything I talk about. I feel really authentic in my work. I'm brutally honest. I'm never pie in the sky. And all of a sudden, all this stuff is coming up. So once I started to address that, I realized, okay, Deb, this is it. This is fear. And maybe all of my worst case scenarios are going to come true. Maybe. But I got to do it anyway. And when I say that to myself, I get much more relaxed of like, oh, so it'll just be rejection. Oh, it'll just be I'm not really that good. All right. Like it loosens the power. So how do you handle fear? Acknowledge it. You can run for a little while until the running from it gets so uncomfortable that you need to do something about it. The universe is really smart. If you're supposed to make a change and get into a new level, it's going to get you there no matter what. So you'd rather be in charge of creating this new level or the discomfort zone rather than the universe creating it for you. And then you got to dig into it. And what's helping me, something that really finalized this for me in the last 2 weeks, is actually at a workshop I took. We're reading, I didn't bring it down with me, but we're reading the Bhagavad Gita, very, very sacred story text in the Mahabharata book. And the Bhagavad Gita, it's a man named Arjuna is meeting up with Krishna or God, and he's having all this fear about a battle. And Krishna's like, you got to do it. You got to do it anyway. And Arjuna's coming up with all the excuses why he shouldn't. And Krishna, God, is like, what are you doing? Like, just do it. You know, basically, and that's like really the condensed version of this really huge, great story. But that's helping me. So I'm like, okay, I am using that book to go, okay, I'm trying to rationalize myself as to why my fear is okay and how wonderful it would be to be more stuck in what is comfort zone to me than get out of the comfort zone. Then what I also do is I think in 5 years from now, will I be upset if I didn't at least try this? And when I ask myself that, my answer is yes. I'll be furious with myself. And I do not want my future self any more reasons for me to be furious at myself. I'm already mad about like mistakes I made 20 years ago, and they're still present. So I don't want to add to those. So that's a long answer, but a really important question about how to handle fear. Just do it anyway. There's not a person on the planet that's not feeling fear at one point or another, and you just have to do it anyway. So it's not fun until you do it, and then you get into a new zone and you learn something new, and then you get into the comfort zone of that, and it's time to level up again. That's what our lives are like. That's a great question. Thank you. All right. So if you're listening on YouTube, just click the thumbs up button because the YouTube algorithms really like the thumbs up buttons being pressed. I tell you this every time. So it's not the thumbs up in the comment section. There's somewhere on your screen a thumbs up, and the more thumbs up I get, the better I look. I don't know. I honestly don't know, but I know I've been told to make sure I ask for thumbs up, and that's why I ask you. I'm like asking for compliments is basically what giving me the thumbs up is. Ah, my God. Let's see. This is another good question. Let me see if I can kind of get rid of some of these. Hold on one moment, please. See, those of you on Instagram and Facebook, you can't really see all these. Oops, that's right in my face. You can't really see what all the words that I have on my screen are. So, I'm gonna get rid of all this. Now you can see my room. I'm gonna leave this one up here. There we go. That's better. Yeah, because you guys just see a green screen behind me. Wow. Oh, I have a ton of comments on Instagram. It's really fun. So, hi Instagram people. It's not my best angle, but oh well, what am I going to do? Okay, Lynn asks, when a sibling dies far away and one felt so helpless because they laid there for 12 hours and no one found them, does the sibling that dies leave this world immediately or do they stick around? They die immediately, Lynn. Don't worry about that at all. They totally pass. Um, Being alone when we pass, nobody wants to think of being alone when we pass or someone we love being alone, but that's more of a human attachment to the way we want things to go versus a spiritual, oh my gosh, I was alone, nobody cares about me, nobody loves me mentality. So they cross over just the same as anyone else. And I know I hear mediums all the time saying, well, they're still kind of stuck on their path because they didn't have X, Y, and Z. And that's partly true and partly not true. What is true about that is that whatever we didn't resolve in our lifetime. So if we imagine if you had a serious issue with self-esteem and in your lifetime, you didn't grab hold of that issue and you didn't like solve it or fix it or level up from it. When we pass, we go to heaven, we're fine. And then when we are reincarnated, we're coming in with that issue to complete. So that's what, it's not that the soul's at unrest at all. The soul will be at rest. The minute we pass, we leave our bodies and it's nirvana, bliss, heaven, whatever you want to call it. When we come back in, we've got all sorts of stuff for that soul to work on again. And it's part of our soul evolution. It's our learning. So in that case, then somebody, if they felt that they were completely alone, that might be something they're born into their next lifetime with. But we're all on that trajectory. Who knows what some of your lessons are in this lifetime based on a previous lifetime? Maybe I killed myself in a last lifetime, and in this lifetime, I have to get through this life without taking my own life. And so that's why I'm here, so that I evolve up past that. People who take their lives go to heaven, they're at peace completely. But when we come back in, we have to kind of master that lesson. So we're all in that rhythm and that path. Okay. That's a great question. Okay. I'm sorry if you could hear me slurping through the microphone. I try not to, but then when I try not to, it's actually louder. I didn't have my nice little cup of tea tonight. So Carla is another great question. Carla says, I try to be careful about my fearful thoughts because I've been told we're telling the universe that this is what we want. So the universe makes it happen. True. So that is one of, yes and no. That is one of the most terrifying thoughts because I do remember like when my kids were little, I would have all these thoughts, when your kids are little and your parent, and you just imagine the worst case scenario. And then you're like, oh my God, stop saying it. It's going to come true. It's like makes for like a total, like a mental patient, right? So I remember being that person. It's terrible. Really what you want to do again is it's everything in your life comes down to your consciousness and your awareness. And your conscious mind is much more powerful than your unconscious mind when you're conscious. Our unconscious minds run our show, run our lives until we bring it up to consciousness. Then we are elevated, we're lifted. So your fearful thoughts are human things, right? It's totally normal to have them. But if you are constantly harping on them, you are bringing that energy back to that small, dense, scary space that we talked about earlier with someone else's question. We're contributing to this compacted density of fear that never is good for us. So Are you literally going to make something happen just because you think it over and over in a negative way? Not necessarily, but you are just compacting your energy. So when you notice a fearful thought, you notice it, you become aware of it. Where is this coming from? Um, Address it as if the thought itself is another person. You ask him or her it questions. Where did you come from? Why are you here? What are you trying to tell me? Um, are you trying to just get in my own way? Just ask the fear questions as if it's another person so that you kind of talk your way through it and get consciously aware. So, yes, we don't want to be harping over and over like, I'm broke, I'm broke, I'm broke, I'm broke, I have no money, I have no money, I have no money. When we say these things over and over, we're always going to make that experience happen because it's sort of like, I have no money. And as soon as you get money, the washing machine will break. And you're like, oh my God, I just got $500. Now I have to pay $500. Oh my God, that's my luck. What was me? Pay attention to that. That is consciousness that is not helping you. It's bringing you down. But if you're that one that's saying, hey, I'm always lucky, I win things, or my life is good, everything works out, I have strong faith, I'm trying my best, I have the right people around me. Any positive intention or mantra is directed and steers our ship versus being not shipped, uh, versus pulls us down into a fearful place. Because humans, we can get there so fast, especially today in this day and age when we have such access to negativity through media and internet and all of that. So we really have to be mindful of our fear and our constant thoughts. Carla. This is a good question. Jody is asking, why do some souls send signs? Oh, wow. Say that 10 times fast. Why do some souls send signs and communicate so easily and others can't or won't? It's a great question. One, I don't know. Sometimes I just don't know. I don't know why I can hear and feel someone so strongly one time with one person, and then I can't hear or feel someone else with another person. Largely, so there's that in the equation. Sometimes it's an I don't know. Largely in the equation, I always tell people when they're coming for a session or a gallery, I'll say if they were very private, quiet, and shy here in physical life, they will most likely show up very private, quiet, and shy in the session because their personality is part of their identity. So if I describe someone who's really, 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 really loud and boisterous, big cursor, they were crazy, and I'm like, wow, they were very shy and apprehensive of life and not very social, you would be like, that doesn't sound like them at all. That's not them at all. So their personality and how you knew them is their part of their identity and how they come through. So if someone's private, quiet, and shy, they're not going to talk a lot. So they might not send a lot of those apparent, real, strong, firm signs. It's just part of their personality. Others are like, oh my gosh, they're like right here in the room and you can't even you're like, oh my gosh, they're so loud, they're so clear. So I personally would say a large portion is their personality. And then thirdly, if your grief is so overwhelming and so in your face all the time, it's harder to hear and feel and see them. And when you're just mourning the physical presence of them, grief, as I've discussed here before, grief is the process of changing from a physical relationship to a spiritual relationship. And when we're here in the physical, we hate that process. Them on the other side who are in spirit, pure energy, they don't hate that process at all. They love it because they're like, oh my gosh, I'm with you and everyone else I loved all at the same time. So their experience of death is exact opposite as our experience of death. So they're fine. They're communicating. It's just sometimes that we also don't get the memo. And a lot of times our grief is why that happens. Great question. Okay, let's see. What do you recommend people do or bring to a reading to help loved ones come through? You're going to a gallery tomorrow and fingers crossed your sister will come through. Let's see. So many people do bring items, and if it makes you feel better to bring one, absolutely do that for yourself. I've had people bring giant like statues and really big cumbersome items in hopes that that item will bring their person to them, and it worked. once, and then most times it doesn't. So, you don't have to. They're not like, "What? You didn't bring my shit with you? I'm not talking now." Like, they're not like that. So if it makes you feel better to bring something, by all means bring it. Sometimes I know we want to bring things like, "Oh, if dad says you have my lucky charm in my right pocket, then I'll know it's him." It's kind of like a little bit of a test of them on the other side and that medium. Be mindful of it, be aware of that. But don't try to, like, say, if you had to get a great reading, but they didn't mention the charm in your pocket. Sometimes people are like, "How come my dad didn't say about that?" I'm like, "I don't know. You ask him. I don't know why he didn't say about it." So, so it's not really necessary to bring things unless it feels better for you. And I always tell my audiences to thank them for showing up for you, either through that medium, through someone else's readings. This is very important in large group activities. When you are in a gallery or large audience and someone else is getting a reading and everything they're saying to that person pertains to you as well, that's a wink, that's a sign, that's a message. And that's not coincidence. So pay attention to everyone else's readings. When I see people, get really fidgety and aggravated at a gallery, like, she's reading that woman for like 10 minutes. Oh, this is bullshit. And they go on their phones and stuff. One, I'm like a raving lunatic. I'm not exercising compassion. I'm in my reactionary mind. And I'm like, guess who's not getting a reading? I get so pissed. I really do. I get like, why did you pay to come to this if you're just pissed off that someone else is having an opportunity that you're not? But I'm off my soapbox now. So be mindful, pay attention, be respectful, listen. They might just say a nickname and you're like, "Oh my gosh, that's all I needed to hear." And it might not pertain to you or seem to pertain to you, but ultimately it will pertain to you. It's a parallel message. So thank them for showing up through the medium, through someone else's readings, or at some point over the next 10 days. Just always give yourself that 10-day marker of like, just thank you for letting me know you're here. Try not to say things like, "Oh, if you're really here, make sure a cardinal appears on my desk." Imagine if one did. Right now, I'd scream "Hi, holy hell," and I'd run out of this room so fast. But anyway, um, just like that spider that was here 2 weeks ago. But try not to tell them what to do or what to say or how to appear to you, because that limits their energy, where you might have gotten a much cooler sign than what you're requesting. So just say, "Thank you for letting me know you're here," and opening it up. When we're begging and pleading for them to come, that is a consciousness of lack, and a consciousness of lack will actually deter things from us. So if we're saying, "Please come through," we're basically saying, "You're not here, you're not here, you're not here." And the more you say "you're not here," you're going to get that response back to you. Remember, whatever you put out into the universe, you're going to get bounced back. So the mirror is saying, "Oh, let them know I'm not here." Make sense? So say, "Thank you for coming through. Thank you for letting me know. Thank you for giving me that sense of peace." However you want to phrase it, just put it in a thank you phrase. That will help. Okay. I see Nicole tuning in. Oh, Laura, that's good to see you on here, Laura. Your dog, yep, dogs and pets can come through in dreams, absolutely. They also cross over to the other side all the time. Okay, let's see. Maria, they're so cute. Sharon is laughing so loud while she's trying to do yoga while she's tuning in to me. That's good. I don't even know if I said something funny already, other than F-bombs. I love the summer camp idea too, Gina. I'm so excited about this. I really, really am. Carolyn, it's good to see you here. You are doing amazing work with your grandchildren. I love that you keep updating me on what you're doing and learning and how you're taking this from to all your family members. That's huge. And applying it. The whole thing is an application of what we learn versus just hearing it. We need to really, really work on it. Susan, hello. You're tuning in from Georgia on vacation. That's awesome. Okay. Donna, yes, one of her favorite sayings is "leap and a net will appear." That is so true, and it's really good to put that out there with fear. Many years ago, my gosh, it's probably 8 years, maybe even a little longer. It was longer than that because I've been divorced 8 years, happily. But I digress. I did an it was before my divorce. I did an exercise on fear, a workshop on fear. And it culminated with a skydive jump, jumping out of an airplane. Because many years ago, I was petrified to fly in an airplane, petrified, and like hyperventilating in a bag, needing to pop Xanax to knock me out, petrified. But one time I flew with my children and I was pregnant, so I couldn't take Xanax and I couldn't be out. I needed to be present for these boys, these babies. They were 1 and 3. And I made the flight and I was fine. I mean, I was nervous and scared and I didn't enjoy it, but it was fine. At the end of that flight, I realized, oh my gosh, it's been my mind all along that's been making me so afraid. And if I can master my mind, then I can master this fear. And so I really worked on that, really worked on that. And I thought, okay, what can I do to really culminate this fear of flying? And I realized, I'm going to jump out of an airplane. I'm a little extreme sometimes. I'm going to jump out of an airplane because if I can jump out of one, then maybe it'll make me feel better about sitting in one. And let me tell you, it totally did. I've jumped 5 times out of an airplane. I love it. And so I did a workshop on this very thing and addressing our fear and talking about it, looking at it, expressing it, feeling it, and what we feel in the body. And then when we do it in our body, when we experience so much fear and we break through it and we overcome it within our body, the rest is so easy. So we did these skydive jumps. So that's another way of addressing your fear. Go skydive jumping. It's the scariest shit you'll ever have, but the best stuff ever. The best thing I've ever done. And the only reason why I haven't done it in recent years is because of my back and leg and hip injuries that I had, that now I'm so like, okay, I'm just not going to mess with my physical body in that way. But I totally, totally would if I hadn't had this severe injury. Although skydiving was not, it was a wonderful experience for me. So try that. Let's see. Carolyn McGuire. This is a great question. Carolyn is asking, what's the difference between being uncomfortable in a job situation when it's the wrong position versus it's your fear coming up or that you just want to run from everything? That is such a great, relatable question. So fear and discomfort are the same thing, and it is difficult to sometimes decipher. Is this my fear or is this reality? I would say most times it's fear. If you're feeling inadequate, or if you have an inadequate tape, a core belief like, oh, I'm never good enough, I'm not smart enough. If you say you struggled as a child in school, that might pop up again when you're 40 years old and you're going out for a new job, and all your like, oh my God, I'm not smart enough, not good enough stuff comes up. So you just want to, again, that's why awareness comes so into everything, of bringing the unconscious tapes to consciousness, to realization of like, oh my gosh, wow, that's a core belief I haven't dealt with. That's what my energy transformation awareness workshop totally targets, by the way, our core beliefs. So I would say largely it's just fear. If it's like another person who is physically making you uncomfortable or making comments and putting a different external creepy weird vibe on you, that's a whole other thing, which I don't think is your situation, but I do want to put that out there. If you feel physically unsafe or just kind of like preyed upon, that's different. When you want to run from everything, oh God, don't we all want to run from something? Don't you all just want to run away to summer camp again? Run away to the beach and be like, sorry guys, I don't know what happened to her. She just disappeared into the night. Yeah, it's called adulting. I know Sharon wants that. Except in the summer, when summertime's around, Sharon's much happier. It's school break. So I would suggest, Carolyn, that you really look into that what parts are you fearful of? Are you not good enough? Are you incapable of it? Do you think other people don't think you're good enough at it? Or you might say, no, this is a really wrong position for me. Like, I just don't do this well and I don't enjoy this and I want no part of it. You could look at it that way too. Get feedback from a mentor or somebody else, another pair of ears and eyes on your situation, someone who really knows you might be able to walk you through some of that as well. That's important. But if I were like put into like an accounting position, it's not my fear telling me to get the hell out of there. It's that would not be a career choice for me at all. So you have to kind of play around with it. But I would say most of the time, it's fear kind of like creeping in, just like my Omega experience. Like, I'm no less or more qualified than anyone else that teaches at Omega. I've been doing this for 20 years. I know my stuff. I'm firm. And all of a sudden I'm like, oh my God, what if they don't want me? And I'm like, why? If they don't want me, they don't want me. I don't know what to do about that. So I hope they want me. Why don't you guys tell Omega to want me? Anyway, it's probably fear, most likely fear. Let's see. Yes, Dakota. Dakota is asking, how do you know that they're with you? Sometimes you just don't. I'm going to be totally straight up. Sometimes you just won't and don't feel them, myself included. Myself for my own people, certainly, and sometimes I just can't quite grab a message for someone else. It happens. It definitely happens. They are around you, and it's our human self that kind of blocks out that spiritual self. So, oh, hold on. Instagram stopped. Let me see if I can start it again. Really start aggravating people. Well, I don't want to aggravate people. I mean, wait, what the heck? Hold on. Sorry, I can't talk and do this stuff at the same time. It's annoying. Your video will... all right, I can't do that. So Instagram's done. Turn it off. So how do you know? So sometimes you don't know that they're with you. Sometimes you have to trust, which is very difficult, especially in times of grief and in times when things are going wrong. You're just wondering, like, WTF, why aren't they helping me? Normal. That's very normal human stuff that you feel. And then I would say start coming up with like your own dialogue. And this is what my intro to mediumship class is all about. It's not necessarily for people who want to do readings, although it absolutely serves them as well. It's about creating a language that works for you. Maybe you see them, maybe you feel them, maybe you smell them, maybe you just get a sense, maybe it's just a knowing, maybe there's a buzzword that pops up that lets you know. I mean, I have a language for my own people that it's just like, oh, I know, okay, they're there. I don't feel my own people, my own family members. I don't feel them in the same way that I feel other people's. And it's annoying. That pisses me off. It would be really nice if it was as clear to me when working with all of you than when working with myself or for myself. Hold on. Getting a little dry. So recognize that if you don't feel them, that does not mean they're not there. It just means you're being human, which is annoying. Oh my God, so thirsty. Laura, good question. Do we get a choice to come back? This world's a mess. I don't want to come back here. Everybody give me a thumbs up or say, hell yeah, I don't want to come back either. I do not want to come back. I'm done. I love the energetic spiritual world. I love that space, that space. I think this realm is ridiculous. I think it's so stupid. I think it's a lot of work. It's exhausting. It's tiring. We have all sorts of emotions and really upsetting, devastating stuff that happens to everyone here. I would be really mindful of the world is doing way better than what we think, because we are being shown incessantly through media what is only going wrong with the world ever. But there are 6 billion people on this planet, and for the most part, we are all trying. We really are. There are very few insane outliers that are just off the charts and nuts. They're there. They're in the world. There is evil in the world. There's wrongdoing in the world. There is injustice in the world. And we all need to work towards bettering those things. And we start within our own homes and our own hearts with our own judgments, with our own compassion, and doing any little act of work or good for the pureness of doing an act of good for someone else, to take the stress or load off of someone else, big or small, in any way that's authentic, without asking or needing anything to return for that. That's the key. We all need to contribute to that. And the more of us that do that, you know what? We just feel better. I know I feel so much better when I can give purely to a person, to a cause, I just feel better because I feel like, okay, I'm trying, I'm doing my part, I'm aware. I read a story on Facebook where a man, I wish I could remember his first name. I probably wouldn't out his whole name, but he wrote a story about how he saw a family on the side of the road with a flat tire. And the crazy thing about the story is that I was on that road and saw that family with a flat tire on the side of the road, and I didn't stop. And when I was a kid, my mom often stopped for people who were broken down because we were always broken down. So she always wanted to return the favor to people who were like down and out, which I think is the best thing she taught. Um, but I didn't stop. And he said, I saw this family on this particular road, Route 84 in our area. And he changed their tire real quick. And they were like, why'd you do that? And, they wanted to give him money. And he was like, nope, I'm just happy. I'm lucky. I have money. My family's healthy. And he was telling the story, and you could really tell he was not being one of those people that are boasting, like, look what I just did. It was so well written. And I saw that family. I passed them myself. I was on that very road, and I saw the child they was talking about that was on the side of the road. And I was like, oh my God. Now, when I passed, I did pray, please someone help them. Because I knew that I couldn't. I don't know how to change. I still could have pulled over, and I still could have helped them, and I didn't. I was being an asshole that day. But I did pray, like, oh, please be safe, please be safe. And someone took care of it. So the world is so full of so many good people, and we really need to retrain everyone everywhere to see it instead of all these monstrosities that we will hear through our media. We're addicted to fear, and the only way the media will stop producing it is if when we stop consuming it. So turn off your TVs when it's media-driven stuff. Even the Weather Channel. I mean, like, in the Northeast, it's really hot. It's really hot. It's really friggin' hot, right? It's totally hot, not safe hot. They make it sound like if you go out, your flesh will melt into your bones and you will create a disease for the rest of eternity. I mean, they are making this heat wave as if, and it's dangerous and people can die and it's serious, and I'm not diminishing it, but at the same time, it's just hot, people. We're hot, but God forbid we have to get hot. I mean, I go from my freezing cold home, thankfully, because I now have air conditioning. I did not have it growing up. Into my car that has air conditioning, into my office that has air conditioning, and I'm lucky. I know not everybody has that, and I'm grateful for that. But media is making it like this life-threatening, horrifying heat wave that our world is ending. And it's like, oh my God, it's just hot. It's just hot. Regardless of why it's hot. It's just hot. We'll be fine. So how are we doing? Oh my gosh, so many questions. I didn't even get to, wow. All right, I'm almost there. Okay. Do animals reincarnate? Yes, they do. They can reincarnate up. I've just recently heard that there's a belief that we do not reincarnate backwards, so we don't go down the ladder. So if you are human, you're not going to become a cockroach in the next lifetime, vice versa. And that cat can become a cat or cat can become human. I'm not familiar with how that happens from animal to human. That part I'm not sure of. I've been regressed many, many times, and I've never been regressed as an animal. So I don't know how that works. Maria, why is it some people cannot move on from past experiences that bring them down in the present? Is there a reason? There's totally a reason. It's stuck. It's stuck in your cellular structure, and it's somehow reinforced in your cellular structure of something you can't get past. A lot of things. This is more of a generalized because then there are very specific PTSD scenarios that kind of go to a whole other level with this. But it's information. An experience becomes information translated into our cells to be a certain way. So I'll give you this as a very generalized example, but I hope it's enough, but it's not going to hit all the scenarios. But when I was growing up, I first had a brother who died, who was like my very best friend. He died when I was 4. Shortly after that, my other brother, who I adored so much and like just gave me all this love and attention. He was 9 years older than me, and he was just like the sun could never set on him. He was amazing to me. But he really was devastated with the family dynamics and our brother dying. And and then he was a teenager, and then he turned to drugs, and then alcohol, and then worse drugs. And I lost him to his depression and drugs. And then in that time frame, my father could not deal with this whole situation and left as well. So the three males that were the closest to me left very abruptly through trauma. So what effect did that have on my cellular consciousness? I started to interpret that any male I love will leave. That was my core belief. No one said it. No one said, hey, any man you love is going to be horrible and is going to leave. That was my experience. Any male figure that I loved, who I loved, left. So what do you think that did to me with when I liked someone, let alone loved someone? I was like, oh, hi, hell no. I'm not loving anyone, because my thought was I'm too afraid to love someone because I'm afraid they're going to go away. So that put me into a category of like, I'll only go with someone who I don't love, who I won't love, who can't hurt me that deeply. And then that played out in not such a great way. So in that experience, had I not brought my consciousness up and looked at it and saw, oh my gosh, this is a core belief that I've adopted because of my life, I would have kept repeating it. So sometimes it's a repeat and you can't move on from that core belief. I know this is slightly different than your question, but it kind of fits in. And then once you know the core belief, you can look at it and address it. When I actually first loved someone, it was the worst, horrifying feeling of my life. I still hate it. GK was like the first person I was like, oh my God, I really love him. And he's tuning in and he's going to get a big ego from this, but he shouldn't. So I was horrified that I was like, oh, I really love him. Oh my God, he's going to die. Oh my God, no, he's not. I'm not going to love him. I don't want to love him. Like I went crazy. So, but I had to upgrade it and I had to see through that fear. And look at me now, I'm living the luxurious life of love with GK. So that's one. Sometimes we keep just getting triggered into, it's just something keeps coming up and you think you get past it and then something else jars it. If you tell yourself, I should be over this by now, you are doing yourself a very big disservice. There's no timeline and things come back up and you can be hurt all over again. So maybe we should stop thinking that we should move on and be fine and incorporate some of our trauma and loss and say, this is what it was. I do not like it. I will never like it. But I surrender to the fact that it is. Sometimes that's the only case, the only thing we can do. That Marshall, that does sound like it is a visitation dream. Absolutely does. Heather, we will all send you positive thoughts and vibes for Thursday. Your fear about surgery that you're having, of course you're going to have fear of surgery. No one goes like, yes, I'm having surgery. Even if it's elective, nobody is like excited about it. So you should have fear, not because it's a fearful experience. Let me change that so you don't interpret that as like, wait, why should I have fear, Deb? Is something going to happen? That's normal. That's natural, but you will keep visualizing yourself completely having a successful experience. I'm also big on the music that's played during your surgery. Make sure you can ask them to put on a playlist that's a positive playlist. Or ask them, the surgery staff, what music they like and play that. I did that with my hysterectomy. I was like, they were like, what music do you want? And I was like, no, what music do you want? I want you guys in a good space. Oh, Jana, another great question. Was it stressful for you to be on the radio? I used to listen to on Fly 92 and you always respond on. Isn't it hard to get through to spirit when you have all of the voice on the phone? Oh, yes. Oh my God, it was so stressful. And I was talk about fear. The first time I was ever going to be on the radio was a station called WPDH in the Hudson Valley with Coop, who was like a Hudson Valley just icon. He's amazing. And he gave me such an amazing chance. And I am forever in his debt. He has since passed. But I literally could not sleep the 2 nights before it. I felt sick. I was like, what am I doing? I don't want to do it. Oh my God, what if I fail? What if I look this? The same stuff I'm doing with Omega, actually. So thank you for reminding me of that. And every time on the radio, it's a super hyper focus I have to have. I'm definitely way less nervous today than I was 15 years ago. But there's always that, like, it's a hyper focus that I really need to get on. So it's difficult. It can be difficult. But it can be done too, which is a really good reminder to me that I can do it. Okay. Let's see. Thank you. Everyone's cheering me on for Omega. Yeah, no, we don't want to come back again. Paul asks, why do spirits turn to butterflies? They don't turn to butterflies. Butterflies are kind of a big symbol of the progression from caterpillar, which is similar to our human form. They go into a transition stage, which is the cocoon, which is death, and then they emerge as a free energy. So they're not literally butterflies. It is just a fantastic metaphor that I believe was, I don't know if it was started, but during the Holocaust, a lot of the prisoners at the concentration camps they were drawing butterflies, and it became kind of a symbol of death that they were headed towards their freedom once they were going to pass. So there was many books about that, and I cannot remember which one specifically talks about the drawings of Holocaust survivors on the walls of wherever they lived, on the gas chamber walls. It's terrible, but I remember that's where a lot of it came from with butterflies. Okay, so what's the best way to remove a thought that doesn't serve us well? For instance, a feeling that you've wasted all of your youth and physical energy and you feel like you're too old to make life happen. Oh, we can all relate to that. You change the thought. You always ask yourself, is this thought serving me well right now? If the answer is no, is that thought, by you incessantly thinking about it, is that going to help your moment right now? If the answer to that is no, then that you have to pick a different thought, pick a better thought. So is this thought serving me right now? 9 times out of 10, it is no, it is not. So you pick a different thought. So put on music. You can acknowledge, because I feel really sad that I feel like I wasted my youth and all my physical energy, and now I feel like I can't make life happen. You can acknowledge that, but that's not true. That's not true. It just feels true when we're so low like that. So then we have to believe, or even not trick ourselves. I'm not really into the fake it till you make it type of working. I don't work that way. Like, yes, I work for Omega. No, I don't work that way. I'm like, no, I fucking don't work for Omega right now, but I really like to, but I probably should stop cursing so that they take me. But anyway, but I won't, so then I won't. But anyway, so I digress. So I don't like fake it till you make it, but say, like, you know what, everything is working out for me. I'm entering my prime. I'm taking my experiences and moving them forward. We all feel like we've wasted a part of our youth. It's just part of, I think, getting older that we do think. So that's normal. Okay, hello, Alexis, mommy with your beautiful little baby that I see on Facebook. How are you? Are you a medium in just this life, or have you always been a medium in all your past lives? Is that carried along? I probably have been in another lifetime. I know I was a healer. One of my most prominent regressions, I was a healer. I was in the middle of a desert. We were set up in tents. I have no idea what desert, but like I'm talking like Middle Eastern desert. I've never been there, so I can't. But like what you see, camels, like real only sand dunes for hundreds of miles. And we were set up in tents, and there was hundreds of people outside my tent. And I was a really, really old man. I was the wise, like, shaman of the tribe. Regression was all about how I left her too soon. And I prepared everyone else and my tribe for my passing, because they were sitting vigil for my passing, and they were sending that energy to me as I crossed over. And I was aware of that. But as soon as I crossed over, I realized I never prepared my granddaughter, who's also my nurse, for me to die and not be there anymore. So when she came here in this lifetime, I always felt guilty. When she had to leave, she'd come to visit or whatever, and she had to leave, I always felt guilty, like, oh my God, why does she have to leave? Why do I have to leave her? It's terrible. And that all came from that lifetime. So I was a healer in another lifetime. We've all been all the gamuts. We've all been healers. We've all been murderers. We've all been leaders. We've all been prisoners, very poor, very wealthy. We've all been pretty much the gamut. It's a cool question. Okay, let's see. Never stop swearing. I don't think I could. It's Lisa. Hello. I know. She meant to say never fucking stop swearing. I don't think I could. I just don't think I could stop swearing, even if it's just in me. It's been in me since I'm 8. I told you. I remember the first time I cursed. I was 8 years old. I was walking down my street with my friend Patrick, and he started saying "fuck," and I was like, like, "Ooh, you're not supposed to say that." And then I looked at him, and I was like, "Fuck," and then we started screaming "fuck" down the street, and I have been liberated and enchanted with the word ever since. It's a true story, I swear. Ah, my goodness. I digress. Okay. Let's see. Let's see. Think of your eyelashes, Carolyn. Yep, little change of mind. And Nicole, hello. Does everyone who passes experience heaven differently? Yes and no. The life, that's a great question. Essentially, no, because it's when we return to heaven, we all become we realize that have all been one this entire time. It's kind of like Dorothy, like you've been here all along. So we have that same collective experience that we're part of the whole, but our piece, our human individuality, contributes a different piece to that collective whole. So we're aware of that part. So in other words, we're aware of what our human self in this lifetime contributed to the collective whole. But then when we cross over, we're just the collective whole. We're part of the big picture again. So I hope that makes sense. Marge, oh, I read you with Coop. Those were the good old days. It really was the good old days. So I'm going to start logging off. Let's do a quick little meditation to kind of bring us into our night. Remember, I have a gallery this Wednesday night. I have dramatically reduced my galleries. Conserving my energy. It's summertime. I'd rather be around home with the kids and just kind of like sink down, do a lot more workshops. So I've been dramatically reducing the amount of galleries. I only have this one in July, actually. So this is the only one in the Hudson Valley. This Wednesday at the Wood Restaurant. You can always go on my website to get information for that, but you can still make a reservation. Don't show up to that one. I don't think you can show up because they need a reservation. I have another gallery August 3rd at my center, and then nothing until mid-September. So I also have a book signing. Oh my gosh, at the Barking Goose Bar and Bookstore, and I'm saying that wrong. It's in Newburgh. That's August 3rd as well in the afternoons. So come look at this new place. It's such a cool little place. I'm going this week too at some point to check in with them. But my book is for sale there. I'll also be at Foundry 42 in Port Jervis in September. I'm going to be at the Rib Fest in Dutchess County with the Walkway Over the Hudson in August. So there's a lot of other like appearances, not necessarily galleries, but book signings, appearances, intuitive question opportunities, all that is coming up, and a lot of workshops. So that's that. All right. So let's just kind of wind down a little bit. You are all saying don't stop swearing, and you tried, Melanie's tried, and it usually lasts about an hour. Me too. These were, Marissa, I agree. These were excellent, amazing, all brand new questions from tonight. So I appreciate all of you who always stick by and stay tuned in for the whole time. I always appreciate that. So let's take a really deep breath and wind down for the last hour and 23 minutes if you've been logged on the entire time. You can close your eyes or keep them open, whatever feels better for you. And take a really nice deep breath in through your nose. And try not to log off before this part, because this is like, if you take yoga, at the end of yoga, we do a pose called Shavasana. And it's when we just allow the entire experience of the practice we just did to kind of sit and settle into our bones. So the same thing with this meditation. We're just going to get quiet and still to allow everything we just talked about to get incorporated into our conscious awareness. Take a deep breath in through the nose and exhale out to your mouth. Continue to focus in on your breathing and really make a nice exhale sound or sigh as you breathe out. If you're uncomfortable because someone else is in the room, do it anyway. Continue to breathe in through your nose and sigh deeply out your mouth. And let this day go. Recognize that you are a seeker, a natural, intuitive, and curious human being. Because if you weren't, you wouldn't be logged in right now. Recognize that your curiosity and your seeking of your higher self always pays off. You can never unlearn any of this, and it only all serves to enlighten you and evolve your spirit. So bring in gratitude for yourself for just being a seeker, someone who would like to learn and be inspired. You're all people who do want to do better for this world, for yourselves, for your families. Whether you feel you found a purpose or have none at all, neither of it matters. What matters is that you are in pristine energy in human form, and that alone is perfection in this moment. Recognize that any tensions or stresses, fears or worries will fall away every time you bring stillness and breath into your body. Repeat to yourself, all is well, and all will continue to be well. You can choose to go right into sleep if that's available to you right now, or for the rest of your night, just slow down. Don't log off very quickly. Stay tuned in, move slowly with compassion for yourself, honor, respect, love for yourself. I thank all of you for always joining me on these Monday night chats. If I didn't have all of you, I wouldn't be able to do my work and be able to sit here and talk to no one. So thank you for your interest always. And I will see all of you next Monday night. Good night, everyone. Thank you. Good night.